I first have to say, it took me a long time to persuade my wife. I was kind of driven by this new adventure. I was elated. I was on cloud nine.
Was there anything you, on reflection, you know, when you think back, that you underestimated about the move?
It's so taxing, and you're wearing so many different hats. You are, you've got a finger in every pie, and there's just so much going on, and it's people management, and it's assessment, and it's the first 2 months before my family came, I was like, what have I done? Like, what have we done? I think there were a lot of negatives for me as well. Maybe if I landed here where we are now, it would have been easier. But yeah, I think when the reality kicks in, like, we've done it.
Who is Wes?
Yeah, so my name's Wes. My full name is actually Wessel. So the W in Afrikaans is a V sound. So when I came to New Zealand, my first year, people called me Wessel.
Oh, yeah.
But then having to explain my name every time, I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. So I'm chopping the second half off. So just kind of went with Wes.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I've kind of grown into the name, and it's part of my identity now here in New Zealand. Born and bred in Cape Town, South Africa. And I've lived there for most of my life. And my wife and I got married in 2010. And this year we would have been married, or in August, we will be married for 15 years.
Wow.
And I've got 3 boys. So fatherhood is definitely a big part of who I am today, or part of my life. And as you said, I was a teacher. So that was my first career.
Was that high school or primary?
So in South Africa, I taught high school,
right,
for 7 years.
Yeah.
And then 3 years primary intermediate in New Zealand.
High school seems the challenging one.
I would say primary school intermediate was much harder than high school.
Really?
I think that's what I learned about myself as well.
Right.
I really enjoy teenagers.
Yeah.
Whereas my wife is the opposite. She's a primary school teacher, and she's like, keep those teenagers away from me. But I would say, the year 13s, or in South Africa, the last year of high school is matric.
Yeah.
Or the matriculants. So I would say like 12th grade or year 13. That was actually my favorite year group. So the older, the better for me.
Yeah.
But I was an Afrikaans teacher. So I was head of department in my last school in South Africa, where I taught at. And then moving to New Zealand, I tried to look for high school positions because I was also trained as a history teacher.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of principals struggled seeing me teaching history in New Zealand, having taught Afrikaans for 7 years. It's a pity though, because they could have seen, look for the skills and the the experience and the background. And then I was like, well, let me see what happens when I go for intermediate. So then I ended up teaching year 6, 7, combined class in my first position. And then I moved to a school here in Palmerston North, and I taught year 6 for about 3 years. And then I've now shifted into instructional design, and I work for a company called Automattic now. And I teach people how to build websites using WordPress. So my whole life revolves around WordPress and, teaching WordPress. So I'm still using a lot of that teaching skills, but it's a different world. Because
really?
If I think about, again, maybe primary school, it's so taxing, and you're wearing so many different hats. You are, you've got a finger in every pie, and there's just so much going on, and it's people management, and it's assessment, and it's prepping for the next day, term prepping, week prepping, and there's just there's cross country going on, there's school plays going on, there's just so much happening. And what I love about my job now is I can sometimes just sit and do one thing for a few hours.
The pace is a lot slower.
And I think the thing that I found the hardest, well, throughout my teaching career, I think for myself is probably classroom management, people management, or disciplining. I would say that's the hardest thing for me. But I do miss, the thing that I miss the most about teaching is the interaction and the relationship building.
Yeah.
Because I'm very relational. And I think that's probably what I enjoyed most about teaching, is connecting with people.
Yeah. It takes I always said it takes a special person to teach. There's something unique about that role that I think people don't understand, or the general public don't understand. It's not easy teaching, and you always remember good teachers. Like, always remember all the good teachers that I had, and just the work involved. And when you get older, when you work in a different capacity, like I didn't work in a teaching capacity as yourself. It was more around youth work, but you understand. It's not something that's easy as well. Just quickly, what differences did you notice in your teaching in South Africa compared to your teaching here in New Zealand? What were the major differences?
So it's also a bit hard to compare for me, because I was teaching, I was teaching
different language.
I was teaching a different language in high school. So comparing it to primary school is a bit hard. But of course, I can kind of look back to the school system in South Africa and my own experience, and also see things that are different. So the one thing that was very different to me is actually seeing as a composite class. That was foreign to me. I was like, how can you have two year groups in one class? It just didn't make sense to me. And then I soon learned, okay, no, it's about focusing on where kids are at academically, and having to actually teach 3 different ability groups within one class, which was something I think New Zealand did better, or they tried to do better, is teach different ability groups within class. So for example, I remember in primary school, and I know it's still the same.
Yeah.
For, let's say you are in year 6, you would have a prescribed novel that you read in class, and you do a novel study, right?
Yeah.
And everyone in the class will read the same book. Doesn't matter their ability or their reading level. But when I taught year 6, I had 3, sometimes 4 different reading groups, and they all had a different novel. They had different texts, and you would try and meet a student where they are at, and then build them from there. So the composite class was the one thing. The different ability groups was something that stood out for me. Now, the one thing I loved about the school where I taught at is it's an independent school. So, for example, for math, we streamed the kids. So what we did is we took the year 5, 6s, we put them together, and at the beginning of a what do you call it? A module, you would first test them. And then based on their results, you would then divide them into 3 groups. And then there's a set 1, set 2, set 3, for example. And the great thing is, if you've got a set 1, those kids are mathematically inclined, so you can really extend them.
Oh, yeah.
And you can start doing year 7 work, and you challenge them. And if you have a set 3 class, maybe there's kids who are still lacking some, or there's some gaps. And then that teacher can try and fill those gaps, and build them. But the problem in New Zealand that I also notice is that a lot of times you don't have streaming. And I think in South Africa they stream more. But then you've got a math class and you've got this, there's so many, like abilities, and then you try and make little groups in your class and you try and teach all these different groups in your in the same class.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that I struggled with at my first school in New Zealand, because I had a year 6, 7 class combined, and I had to teach all of them.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge.
Was it a big class? Like how many? What was the number size?
No, it was probably like 25, 27.
Oh, goodness, I think that is quite big.
Yeah, but I mean, some classes have 30 plus. So I know the one thing, and my wife, as I say, is also a teacher, and I think they do try and train the teachers to teach those pods within your class.
That must be hard with disruptions if they come up, because managing that amount of teenagers, and then if a disruption kicks off in one part, it's still managing. So there's an element of the young people being, I would say, civil in understanding this is how, you are to behave. But if one kicks off in one end and then another, did you have assistants in those classes? But because it's high school, you probably wouldn't, would you?
Well, no, in South Africa, never had any assistance. In New Zealand,
because would that be intermediate? Year 6 and
year
7,
6,
yeah.
Year 7 and 8 is intermediate.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I found that concept a bit strange, because growing up in the UK, you just went from primary school to secondary school.
Same
there
in South
was
Africa.
No
same in South Africa.
This. Yeah.
So it was new to me as well. But yeah, sorry. Can you ask your question again?
So it was around the class sizes, and if something happens, like managing that, would it prove difficult if, like, one area there's a kid kicks off because of the class sizes? Because I find that quite big for class sizes, like 27, 28. That's quite huge.
Yeah, if I just look at my own experience, no, there wouldn't have been any. Well, there were no incidents like that per se, but I assume if there was an issue where you had to remove a child, or if there was a really big problem, you would have probably just walked across the corridor and asked the teacher for support. But yeah, I mean, I'm very blessed that I've never had anything like that in my career. I think for myself, when I talk about classroom management, the difficult thing was at primary school level, it's just, keeping the energy levels down, and when it's time to work, keeping them quiet, keeping them focused. I think that was the hard thing for me as well, because I was used to teaching older kids.
Yeah.
So I almost had that expectation from the younger kids, and I soon realized it's a different energy level. And then, of course, sometimes certain kids can be very disrespectful, and that's difficult to handle as well, because you must remind yourself you're the adult. You need to.
You have to administer that self-control, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think that's something I struggled with in teaching, as I personalized it a bit too much. That's what I think I found hard as well. But again, for most of my career, I taught at really good schools, and I taught wonderful students. But of course, there were challenges along the way. Definitely, I remember my first year of teaching. There was one class. It was a senior class, and they just knew this was the new young first year teacher, and they just made it hard
for the whole year. Or
Well, I can't remember. Maybe not the
Yeah.
whole year, but they definitely tested me at times. Yeah, I remember that first year. That was really hard. But it's so weird, yeah. Because then I had a matric class the year older, and they were fine. So it's also the dynamics.
Yeah.
That changes. And I think that's the hardest thing as well. Teaching is you've got a class with 25 kids who really want to learn and who's focused, and of course they can be rowdy or whatever. But then you just sometimes have those one or two people that just change the dynamic or just take too much airtime or just require too much of you.
Yeah.
And then that kind of detracts from the others. Or
it adds to what am I thinking of? It adds to the disruption for the rest. So it's like the two people or one person can actually disrupt the whole class.
Yeah.
And everyone is affected by it in that class.
Exactly.
Absolutely killed the lesson. I've been in classes where that's happened a couple of times.
And that one person, they're actually selfish because they steal that time the teacher could have spent with the class or teaching, and then this teacher needs to deal with this situation or with
so it takes you out as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Kids, honestly. So how long have you been here in New Zealand? How many years?
7 years.
Is it just 7?
7 years, yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, it feels like a lifetime for me.
I thought it was longer. Okay.
Yeah, so we arrived in 2018.
So what brought you here then, New Zealand, and why New Zealand?
So for us, and I think that's the thing about immigration. There's always a personal story, right?
Yeah.
There's always reasons behind everyone's decision. For us, the crime in South Africa was something that we were really concerned about. We had a family member who was very negatively impacted by it. We actually looked back on it, and even my wife has experienced something when she was younger that was horrible. But yeah, I think for us as parents, we were thinking like is it going to get worse? What if it happens to us? What then? So I would say, and to be honest, probably a bit of fear behind all of that, like fear of falling victim to violent crime. Now, I know there's crime all around the world, but I think the violent crime in South Africa is something that saddens me because I love my country so much. Like I wish I could have stayed there. And I mean, most people stay there, right? So some South Africans might criticize me for saying that, but I think the violent crime is probably the biggest reason. And then the second reason is just the political instability. Because, there's a lot of corruption and a lot of political turmoil that is kind of hard to digest at times. So we were hoping for safety was a big thing for us. So why New Zealand? New Zealand is at the top of the list when it comes to safe countries. And secondly, there were options to teach. There was a skilled shortage.
Yeah.
So in New Zealand, Australia, a lot of South Africans go to New Zealand or Australia. And then, of course, we were looking at an English-speaking country.
Yeah.
So New Zealand was also ticking that box. I also liked the fact that it was smaller.
Yeah.
And yeah, with Australia, we were looking at Australia as well. We didn't pursue that. But I remember in New Zealand, if you had a job offer, you can apply for a visa. But the visa process in Australia was a bit more difficult for me at that stage. So here we are. I would say the children were also a big reason. I remember, and this again is my personal story, but I was already teaching, and I went back to my alma mater. I studied at the Stellenbosch University, which is just outside of Cape Town. And there was a big fees must fall campaign in South Africa. And I mean, I completely get the fees must fall campaign, because a lot of people, they're stuck in that that cycle of, like if your parents were not able to go and study and you don't have the means to pay for university, like how do you get out of that? So, I mean, I completely get that. But the sad thing is, some violent things also took place, and a lot of damage was done to certain universities and so forth. So I went back to my old university I can't remember, I think I had a meeting. And then I just kind of walked around campus because I wanted to reminisce a bit. And then in front of every building, there were like 4 or 5 security guards, all dressed in black with guns.
Wow.
And they're not there anymore, right? But at that stage, that was just a way to protect classes and lecturers, so that lectures could actually go on, because a lot of when there were riots or people trying to derail what was going on to to protest. A lot of protests were taking place, and so that they were there to let the lectures continue.
Right.
But I just kind of walked there, and it was a very eerie feeling, and I was like, "How's this happening?" So I think in moments like that, and of course, I also know people, and as I said, family who's been affected by violent crime, and it's scary. It's a reality. So I would say those are the main reasons we made the decision.
So from when you made the decision, how long did it take you all as a family to get everything up and going, and then I guess take that big long flight as some of us experienced over to New Zealand?
I have to say,
was it a short process, or
no? It wasn't a short process. I would say I first have to say it took me a long time to persuade my wife.
Right, because so that's the other factor.
Yeah, at the beginning she didn't want to immigrate.
Yeah. She wanted to just stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that took a while, and I think there was a bit of a shift. And funny enough, today, like I would be like, I want to go back to South Africa, and my wife would be like, no. So it's kind of shifted around now. But yeah, no, it took a while.
Yeah.
So one of the difficult things was getting all your paperwork in place. So I remember I first had to get unabridged birth certificates. So you can't immigrate without unabridged, or you can't get a visa without unabridged birth certificates. And then you got to get your police clearances. So I started the process, and so I first got an interview. And the funny story is that the school that my wife's teaching at today is actually the school where I had my first interview, and I didn't get the job. And at that stage, when I applied for that job, I started getting my paperwork in place. So we went for police clearances. I would wake up at 5 a.m. to go and stand in the row in the line at Eternal Home Affairs. So Home Affairs is also a different story in South Africa. You stand in very long queues. You wait for hours. So I would go on a Saturday morning at 5.
Yeah.
And I would take a book with, and I would just go and stand there for 3 hours until they open up.
Yeah.
Or maybe 6 a.m. Maybe it was like 6 a.m. And then I would be one of the first people to go in and get my stuff sorted out.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you can be there for days. But yeah, so the unfortunate thing is it took me a few months to get another interview.
Yeah.
And then after 6 months, your police clearance basically expires. So then you have to go through that process again. So then I kind of waited until I finally got the job.
Yeah.
So I want to say the whole process from my first interview to actually landing a job was close to 2 years. Now, no, maybe a year and a half. Maybe a year and a half. Now that was just my experience because, as I said, I was also a high school Afrikaans teacher trying to find a new door into New Zealand. I think if you were maybe a maths teacher, a high school maths teacher, it would have been easy. It would have been easier for you to just get a position as a maths teacher in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Because there's a need for them, and it would have been easier. But that was just kind of my experience. But I think what also stopped the process from happening is I was at a new school. So then I was contemplating, is this something I still want to do or not? Because I was really happy at both schools where I taught at.
Yeah.
So maybe I think I took the my foot off the pedal a bit for a while. And then, then I started searching for jobs again.
Yeah.
It was also interesting because you had to kind of know where to go and find teaching jobs in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And you didn't know areas. And the thing is, we never came to New Zealand before immigrating. So that was also kind of a leap.
So you came in cold.
Cold. That was a leap of faith. Yeah. But yeah, so there were so many things that I had to get ready. So unabridged marriage certificates, unabridged birth certificates,
and all of the
medical tests.
I was just about to say the medical stuff. That stuff's expensive.
And the other thing, the IELTS.
The what?
The IELTS, the English proficiency test.
Right.
So everyone needs to complete that as well.
Yeah.
And as a teacher, I had to do the academic one.
Yeah.
So to actually get and of course, I first had to get teaching registration. So when I actually first got my teaching registration through New Zealand before actually getting the job. And that meant getting my degrees certified by NZQA.
Yeah.
I actually had to physically courier my degrees, like the physical original degrees I had to courier to NZQA. And your transcripts and everything. And I remember my transcripts from the one university was, because I studied at two different universities, and the original I had was only in Afrikaans, and I couldn't get the English version. And getting the English version was also a rigmarole.
Yeah.
So little things like that as well.
So that slowed up the process.
Yeah.
For you.
But the whole teaching registration as well. Yeah. Because then you had to prove your years of experience. You had to prove that you had a mentor. You had to get a letter from your mentor. It's I think they've made it easier now for teachers. But at that stage, it was quite a process.
Yeah. I think one thing I realized through the process, the whole immigration process, through doing all of the paperwork, is that it showed me that the New Zealand government want to make sure they're very careful of who they're allowing to come and stay in their country. Like you're not going to be someone who's just going to bleed the government, just be on benefits or, just stuff like this. They want to make sure that actually skilled people are coming in to help support, help build the country up as well, rather than, I guess, take from the country. That's a big thing. And I even me come from the UK, I found the process I found it quite frustrating at times.
I was very frustrated at times.
It was, the paperwork alone for the application was a lot. But with the medical stuff, I think for me that's when I started to get really annoyed, is the cost of the medical, because I don't know what it was like for you, but
it would be the same. Like you have to go to a specific doctor.
Yes, and the doctors they chose in the UK or in London were like either in Knightsbridge, like Harley Street, and they're like the most expensive doctors. And I remember it was a half an hour medical and it cost £600.
Yeah.
It's like $1,200 here. It's just...
Yeah, and you're like, but
But it was necessary because they would only use these accredited doctors.
Yeah.
Or it was Immigration New Zealand that would only use these doctors. So it was
and they still do it, right? Because my parents just got a 3-year grandparent visa, and they had to go through those tests, and they had to drive 3 hours to the closest city, and they had to pay for those doctors just for a 3-year visa. But again, as you say, it's to protect New Zealand, and I get it now. But in that, when I went through all of that, I was like, but why don't you make it easier for me? I'm clearly an asset. Like, why do you make it so hard? I remember, I kid you not, I think it was a stack of papers this thick that had to be certified. But I remember
because it wasn't just you though; it was the whole family. Yeah.
And I remember when you apply for permanent residency.
Yeah.
Is it permanent residency when you arrive? Like we applied within months for permanent residency. No, what do you call it?
Just residency.
Yeah, residency. I think.
Residency.
And then it becomes residency after 5 years.
Yeah. I think it's after 2 years. Is it 2 years you can then apply for permanent residency?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we applied for residency within a few months of being here.
Yeah.
And I remember the file that we sent in, because you remember you had to have photos of you as a family.
Yeah.
You had to prove that you've been on holiday together and that you and your wife are, so all those things. Like
it feels quite intrusive, doesn't it?
Reference letters from family and from friends.
Yeah.
There's just so many things.
Yeah. I forgot about all of that.
No, I remember them clearly because I took most of it on, like I took it on me. So it was, I was super frustrated at times. But we also paid a lot of money because we used an immigration consultant.
So you had to pay fees as well.
So I paid a lot of fees for but I have to say I was really happy with their service.
Yeah.
Did
it streamline the process for you a lot more than if you did it just on your own?
Yeah, for me, definitely it streamlined it. But I remember when I started teaching at a school, my first school, one of my South African colleagues, she did everything by herself.
Yeah.
And I was like, I paid so much money for this. Why did I do it? I could have done it myself. Why did I second guess myself? Or why did I not realize I could just do it all myself? So
that's the process I took. I just did it myself because it was just easier. But it's a lot of work. Understandable, but it's a lot. The paperwork is the biggest part, and the running around and making sure you get this, looked by a JP or someone who can, certify these documents, and waiting to get those documents certified, getting an appointment, and there's no appointments when you need one.
Exactly.
It's just like...
But the one thing I soon realized though, is don't think the paperwork was less because I used an immigration consultant. I think the only way the immigration consultant helped us is to just make sure we've got everything lined up. We got everything. So like I would still get a list of things I had to prepare for them and send to them.
Yeah.
So technically I still did all the work, but they just made sure that I didn't skip any step.
Yeah.
Or skip any.
But you got all your documents, all of the evidence that proves you're a legitimate couple. You know, we sent in cards
bank
from our wedding. Yeah.
I mean,
text messages, screenshots.
Yeah, screenshots of emails.
Yeah.
Photos from like when you started dating to when you started. It's full on. It is really full on.
It is. It is. But you could see with the country and the amount of people here, not to just let anybody come in, because it's an island as well. So, you know, it's not like it's like the UK or, you know, parts of Europe and stuff where people could just go traveling around as they do. It's quite different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you understand why.
And now having become a citizen of New Zealand, I retained my
yes, I forgot you've got your
I got my citizenship, but I retained my South African citizenship as well. But yeah, now that I'm a citizen, and you know, even after the first year maybe of living here, I was like, yeah, I understand why you want to have those strict things in place. But it's still tough for the person going through it.
Yeah, 100%. It's quite heavy work. With when you made the decision and you started getting everything together, and then you knew it was becoming real, from the period where before you was gonna, like, let's say, board the plane with the whole family, or even before then, and then coming over, what type of emotions and thoughts were going through, you know, your mind through the whole thing? Like, as it was drawing closer and closer to, you know, to get on that plane flight, you know, what was you thinking? Like, have I made the right decision? You know, what was you thinking about your home that you're now going to leave, the home that you spent, people you're going to leave behind? What was going through your whole mind, like through the ranges of emotions?
So I would say for me, I was on cloud 9.
Right. I couldn't wait to go.
No, like I was so excited. To be honest, I think for me, I was kind of driven by this new adventure.
Yeah.
I was elated.
Yeah.
Like really, I was probably over romanticizing everything.
Yeah.
So maybe that helped me, because during that period I was just like super driven to, you know, get the container packed.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that was a whole story in itself as well. You know, packing up your whole home and sending it over the water. And then of course finishing up at the school where I was teaching at. But there's one thing that I need to mention. When we accepted the job in New Zealand, my wife was pregnant with twins. So it was actually a very difficult transition in that sense, because we had to wait for, because I had to work a term. So, you know, in normal jobs you can give notice and you can work a month.
Yeah.
But in in New Zealand as well, if you've been at a school, you've got to give a term's notice. So you've got to work out 3 months.
Yeah.
So I accepted the job end of 2017. So I still had to work that first term of 2018.
Yeah.
But then in that term, the twins were born. So the twins were 2 months old when we finally immigrated.
Wow.
So, yeah, getting back to your question, I was amped.
Yeah.
But I do remember feeling very guilty taking my wife away from her family and the grandchildren away from grandparents. I do remember speaking to my wife one night. I was like, I just feel so guilty. Like, you know, what is her mom and dad thinking? Like, I'm I'm taking her and the grandkids away to the other side of the world. And to be honest, I still think it's there. It hasn't it's still there in the back of my mind. But we can probably talk about that a bit later, about the regret and the guilt at times. So yes, I would say that was there, definitely. But I think it was kind of put to the side. And I was just very, very amped. But then reality also kicked in soon, because I had to come first, and the family only came just over a month after me. So So I left. No, it's almost 2 months. I was in New Zealand alone for almost 2 months, and one of the twins had to get an operation when I was still here. You know, they were just little babas, and before I came, we still had to sort out their passports, so we had to go to home affairs again with the babies before going. So that was also very difficult. But yeah, gearing up to actually going, I was just so excited. And I was just kind of making plans in my head, thinking about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and I can't wait to experience this. So, as I said, the reality actually only kicked in when I arrived, and my family was still in South Africa, and my son had to go get an operation, and having to go to work every day. And it's like, okay, maybe
that must have been hard in the beginning. Adjusting to a new country, culture, you know, even within the work sense as well, understanding how things are done, and then having that also back home in South Africa. That must have been quite hard to, I guess, pull yourself through certain days, knowing in your mind as you're working that's happening.
But I would say the hardest for me though was the first place that I taught at in New Zealand wasn't a good fit.
Right.
And I think that I think that kind of just made it even more difficult for me, because I left a place where I was like super happy at, really great school. You know, I thought if I stayed in South Africa, I might have retired at that school. You know, it was such a great place.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then you suddenly realize, oh, maybe the grass is not greener on the other side. But it took a while to really appreciate the things that New Zealand offers.
What was your first thoughts after, let's say, a few weeks being here? What were your...
Well, the big mistake I made was, I thought, so I'm a city slicker. I'm from Cape Town. I thought we're going to go to the countryside.
Right.
And I thought, oh, you know, it's going to be peaceful. It's going to be like a, you know, more relaxed, slower lifestyle, and it was just not what I expected, at all.
What, the opposite?
It was, yeah. It wasn't what. It was also not the countryside that I was used to.
Right.
So yeah, I missed the luxuries of living in a city, and all that offers. I think I also soon realized South Africa is technologically ahead in many areas that I didn't realize at that stage, but now I do. I'm like, South Africa is actually ahead in many areas. But yeah, I missed the city, definitely, and having a big mall to park your car when it rains, undercover parking. I remember my wife had to struggle during the winter. I think there was one place in the town that we lived where there was undercover parking next to farmers or something, and but still, you couldn't get to the supermarket from there. So if she had the twins with her and my eldest son, and she needs to go to, let's say, Back and Save, you know, in the rain, like it's just very, very difficult. Whereas where we come from, there's just a lot of, what's the word? I said luxury, but first world amenities.
Yeah. And just a lot bigger.
A lot bigger, a lot more options, a lot more to do. I mean, Cape Town as well. It's such a beautiful place, and like on a weekend, there's just so many things to go and explore and do within 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And then you and then you ask yourself, like, why did I do this again? And then you try to remind yourself of the reasons you made that decision.
One thing I wanted to talk to you about was something that I experienced, and I was thinking you might have experienced it as well. So with the adjustment period, did you feel more from you individually in your own journey? Because even though you've come and you're as a family, there's still the individual emotions that run through it. Did you suffer any deep sense of not regret, but just like an overwhelming feeling of sadness? Like in the 6-month mark, I was just feeling so down. Like, crap, I've moved. It's far. And I was just like, not moping around. You know, I had a job, but I was just, there's this sense of feeling of the sadness that you're here. And you're actually here type. It's like the moment it really hits you. Did you ever have a sense of feeling like that through?
So like the first 2 months before my family came, I was like, what have I done? Like, what have we done? No, I would say, it was definitely the first 6-8 months. And there were moments where I was like, I would call it regret. Yeah, deep regret. It's like, it's going to be impossible to immigrate back now. I mean, if you think about all the money that went into getting here. And then like I say, in those moments where you miss your family so bad.
Yeah.
And you're like, but you're so far. And then you just feel so sad.
Yeah.
And then some people will be like, I'm thinking of other people who are maybe against people immigrating, or who feel like you've betrayed South Africa for coming or whatever. No, there are people like that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I'm saying
the
like
strong
those people,
nationalists.
Those people will be like, oh, well, you get what you asked for, type of thing, And then
that's what my brother's like. He's that person.
Yeah. But again, I think the thing that made it even worse is that I wasn't in a place where it was a good fit.
Yeah.
We weren't living. We were living in a smaller town, which was also not a good fit. So I think there were a lot of negatives for me as well. Maybe if I landed here where we are now, it would have been easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when the reality kicks in, like, we've done it. It's not like, oh, okay, no, we don't like this. We're gonna actually move back. Like, moving back is not like going from Bath to Windsor. It's such a big move.
Yeah.
Such a big shift. It's
huge. What has been the one, or not the one, but what has been your favorite experience here so far since moving?
Oh, there's so
to
many.
New Zealand.
So many.
Pick the best. See if you can pick the best one.
Oh, the best one.
Yeah, for you.
Oh, please, I want to answer. I've got to share a few.
All right.
But I mean, I would say the best for me, I remember the first. No, I can't just say one. I remember when we moved into our house the first time.
Yeah.
I opened the window, and there's like no burglar bars.
Oh.
It's like.
Compared to your house in South Africa.
Yeah, I can climb through this window. Like, I can climb through any window. It's like, it just kind of messed with
There's no tall gates.
Yeah, it kind of messed with my brain. So I would say that's the one thing. Like I go for walks in the evening. I listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
And I go for walks in the evening for like a 4-kilometer walk through the neighborhood. So just that sense of freedom, like being able to move around, and not be afraid. So that's a huge blessing. Not having to put alarm systems on and beams in your garden. So yeah, I would say safety, big thing. The other thing is just going to the South Island. That was amazing. Like I went
Beautiful
down to
place,
Queenstown, Cromwell, Arrowtown, that area. Like we also did Dunedin, and like I just want to see more and more of the South Island.
Central Otago is so beautiful.
So that took my breath away, and I was like, man, this is special. Like, I love that. And then something else is, as I mentioned earlier on, like home affairs in South Africa. I like any South African. Doesn't matter where you come from, what language you speak. If I say home affairs, they just know what it means. It just means it's like, it's not a place where you were going to stand in line. And I remember, or even going to IRD, like in South Africa, it's called SARS, South African Revenue Services. Like going to SARS, you have to block a few hours of your day to go in. And I remember going to IRD to get my a number. What do you call it? Is it your tax number or your
IRD number?
Probably your IRD number. Oh, I think I had to get IRD numbers for the kids.
Oh yeah.
And I remember I walked in, and it was kind of late. I think it was like 30 minutes before they closed. And I walked up, and I was like, "Oh, they're already closed." There was nobody in front of me. And I was like, I walked in and I spoke to the person and they helped me, and I walked out. And I was like, this is insane.
What's going to happen today?
This is amazing. And then another time, I had to work through a lawyer to get power of attorney. Just so with my family, there was some power of attorney stuff we had to sort out. And then I was waiting for this one letter. But it was like really crucial for I think for a bank in South Africa. I was like, I'm going to try and phone. And again, like my experience where I come from, like if you phone, it's like you phone into the abyss. It's like you're going to
just move you around.
Yeah. But I mean, if you phone Immigration New Zealand, it's going to be the same thing. So I'm not talking about that. You do get those places. Like if you phone Air New Zealand, you're going to wait for. So you do get that in New Zealand as well. But this was a government office that I phoned. And they put me through to this person. I explained my situation. And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, there's only 2 of us that focus on that, but I'll try and get it to you before the end of the day." And lo and behold, before the end of the day, I got the email with the document. And I was like, what? This is amazing. So yeah, maybe we're a smaller country, so not as much pressure on certain certain offices or so there's a few.
For me, one is that whole just the makeup of the country, just the land, the Alps, the Southern Alps, just how the South Island is breathtaking. Like, I was talking to that guy, Joe, because he was talking about when he went to Queenstown. He's an American guy from Pittsburgh. And when he first flew down to Queenstown, he says he feels New Zealand's like a healing country, just what you see, obviously compared to America from where he's from. And I know there's amazing parts of America as well when you go further out, but he was blown away. And I said, it's like an amazing picture, as if someone just painted that like an amazing portrait. It's so beautiful. The South Island has amazing, beautiful places. And for me, that was one of the biggest things I took from when I first came here, was going to Queenstown and going to, Oh goodness, I can't believe I forgot. No, I can't believe I forgot the
Milford
name.
Sound.
Milford Sound. Sorry, yeah. Going to Milford Sound, went up on the glaciers and stuff. And
I haven't been to that side.
Goodness, it was amazing. But I'm like, this country is outstanding. Just how everything is. But I guess it's where it sits with those tectonic plates, which is what makes the Alps and makes those mountains and stuff, which makes it beautiful as well.
Something else that this is like something practical that I love about New Zealand. I love driving around in New Zealand. So in South Africa, if you're on the highway going somewhere, there's usually 2 lanes on your side, and people that are on the fast lane will go 120. That's the speed limit, 120. But believe me, they will go at 130, 140. So if you are driving 120 on the right and somebody comes behind you and they're driving 140, they're going to flash you or they're going to get upset with you. So
tailgating.
You're going to have to get a shift to the left.
Yeah.
And yes, you do get boy races, and you do get people that speed. But in general, like if I go up to Taupo, if I go up to Tauranga, or like driving around in the South Island, most of the times, if you drive 100, people will go at 100. And it's like, you feel calm. You feel like, I enjoyed driving around in England as well. I felt people were very courteous on the roads in England as well.
They're too small there though. Those roads are tiny.
But I mean, in general, people were very courteous. I think there's more aggressive driving in South Africa. And I remember after my first visit in South Africa, when I got home to New Zealand, I was like, I feel more relaxed. And sorry,
there's no road rage today.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I wanted to mention, like, Kiwis are very friendly.
100%.
And I love that about living in New Zealand. Like, you can chat with anyone, anywhere. And as a relational person, I really value that. Is that you can, people smile, people greet, people, you can have a bit of small talk. And people are welcoming in general.
Yeah. That's one thing I loved about the South, because we lived in Invercargill for 3.
I've been to Invercargill.
Yeah,
I've been
3
there.
years. And the people in Southland alone, amazing. They're all so welcoming, so friendly, do anything.
Helpful, very helpful.
Very, give you the shirt off their own back. And it was, obviously there's pockets of cultures within a nation.
Of course, yeah.
But you could see the vast difference between living in Southland, living in Invercargill, and the people. Whereas I wouldn't say much up here, because here in Fielding, I think it's really family orientated and people are really friendly here. But like Wellington, you see the difference.
Yeah, you do see the difference. Yeah,
huge. And I understand it's an urban city, but yeah, it's just a different mentality of the people.
But I remember one time, that was my first year in New Zealand. I got a phone call.
Yeah,
and I pulled off the road, and again, unfortunately, my South African brain put the hazards on, because it's just to say, watch out, like, I'm here, because I think it was already getting dark. Within a minute, I had to say, sorry, just hold on. And there's a woman that knocked on the door, and she came to park behind me, got out of her car, and I was like, yes. She's like, I just want to know, are you okay? I was like, oh yeah, I'm just on the phone. She's like, oh, okay, your hazards are on. I thought there was something wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was amazing to me. And then she said, oh, just put your blinker on to the left, or your So I've never made that mistake again.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I was like, that is cool.
Yeah.
That is really special.
Yeah, Kiwis are super friendly, super helpful. Yeah. Would always stop. It's something that I think we take for granted in a lot of places. Is just, I don't know, you get a good sense of humanity here to a certain extent as well, just how people are just always willing to help one another. But I think it's because the country isn't small in terms of land mass, it's just with people. And I think that's why it's still quite community orientated and focused. Whereas the bigger the population gets, I think the people become more individualistic in that sense. But yeah, but look, thanks so much for coming. One thing I
Thanks for
always
having
do,
me. Yeah.
always do with the guest here on the Kaleidoscope Mind is ask the guest to leave us with something, whether it's a thought, whether it's a quote, a word of wisdom, something that you want to leave us with that we would sit and ponder and think about moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a piece of advice, just whatever, just something that you want to leave with us that would help us to chew, meditate, and think about and be like, yeah, okay.
Maybe I will come back to family. As I mentioned, as a father, my whole life revolves around my kids. And I think before the podcast started, we also spoke a bit about a lot of the issues we see in society is because there's a lack of parenting. A lot of times it is unfortunately dads who are not stepping in and fulfilling their role. But maybe what I will leave with you or with anyone watching is that I think motherhood, fatherhood, being a mom, being a dad is one of the biggest blessings, biggest responsibilities, and it should not be taken lightly at all. You know, I remind myself my kids are going to be somebody's husband one day. I'm raising somebody's husband. I'm raising somebody's father. It's such a wonderful thing to be part of, and yeah, I think it must be celebrated, but also you need to take care of your role as a parent. You need to foster it, take care of it,